good evening, and welcome to Cozy Sleep Time. Before we begin tonight's story, take a quiet moment to settle in and get comfortable. Find a position where your body can fully relax, whether you're lying in bed, resting on a couch, or simply unwinding after a long day. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your breathing slow down just a little. There is nowhere else you need to be, and nothing else you need to do. Here, on Cozy Sleep Time, we explore calm and gentle topics, stories designed to help the mind slow down and drift peacefully toward rest. Each story moves slowly, gently, allowing your thoughts to wander and your body to relax more and more. Tonight's topic is why forests sound the way they do. As the story unfolds, you can simply listen, or you can allow your mind to drift. There is no need to stay focused. If your thoughts wander, that is perfectly natural. So take one more slow breath, get comfortable, and let the quiet story begin. The forest is never truly silent. Even in the deepest wilderness, away from roads and human settlements, sound fills the air. The gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the soft crunch of footsteps on forest floor, the whisper of wind through branches. These sounds blend into what we might call forest silence, a rich tapestry of noise that reveals the hidden life of the woods. To understand why forests sound the way they do, we first need to understand how sound travels through this environment. Unlike open spaces where sound travels in straight lines, the forest is a complex acoustic world. Trees, shrubs, fallen logs, and the uneven ground all affect how sound moves. The many surfaces absorb, reflect, and scatter sound waves in countless ways. The canopy above plays a crucial role in forest acoustics. The dense layer of leaves and branches acts as a ceiling, trapping and reflecting sound within the forest. This is why sounds in the forest often seem to come from everywhere at once, rather than from a single direction. The canopy also dampens higher frequencies, allowing lower sounds to travel further. A bird call in the open might carry hundreds of meters. The same call in the forest might be inaudible just a few meters away. The density of vegetation affects how sound travels. A young, densely growing forest with many small trees and thick understory absorbs more sound than an older forest with large canopy trees and less undergrowth. The spaces between trees, the gaps in the canopy, create pathways through which sound can travel more easily. Experienced trackers learn to read these acoustic features, knowing where sounds will carry and where they will die. The forest floor itself creates its own acoustic signature. Fallen leaves, pine needles, and decomposed material muffle footsteps. The uneven surface with its bumps, roots, and small hollows affects how sound reflects. Walking through a forest, you create a complex pattern of sounds, each footstep different from the last as you step on different materials and surfaces. The moisture content of the air affects sound transmission. On humid days, when the air is saturated with water vapor, sound travels further and more clearly. Dry air, particularly in winter or during drought, absorbs more sound energy. This is why a forest in heavy fog often seems eerily quiet. The moisture in the air altering how sounds behave. Temperature also influences forest acoustics. On cold days, when the air is dense, sound travels faster and further. Temperature inversions, where cold air sits beneath warmer air, can create remarkable acoustic effects, with sounds traveling along the boundary between the two layers. These conditions are most common in autumn and early winter, when the forest takes on an almost magical acoustic quality. The time of day changes forest sounds dramatically. At dawn, as birds begin to sing, the forest comes alive with sound. During the heat of midday, when many birds are resting, the forest may seem quieter, though insects continue their constant activity. As evening approaches, different species become active and the forest soundscape shifts again. Night brings its own suite of sounds, from the calls of nocturnal birds to the chirping of crickets. Understanding forest sounds helps us appreciate these environments more deeply. The next time you walk through a forest, listen carefully. Notice how the sounds change as you move through different parts of the woods. Notice how your footsteps sound different on different surfaces. Notice the layers of sound, the distant and the near, the obvious and the subtle. This awareness transforms the forest from a visual experience into a fully sensory one. Bird calls fill the forest with some of its most distinctive sounds. From the simple chips and chirps of small songbirds to the complex songs of thrushes and warblers, birds use sound for essential purposes, including territory defense, mate attraction, and communication with family groups. Understanding these calls reveals a hidden layer of bird behavior. Birds produce sound differently than mammals. Unlike our vocal cords, birds have a specialized organ called the syrinx, located where the trachea splits into the two bronchi. This organ allows many species to produce two sounds simultaneously, creating the complex songs we hear. The diversity of bird sounds reflects the diversity of their syrinx structures and the behaviors that have evolved. Territorial songs serve to announce a bird's presence to rivals. These songs are typically delivered from prominent perches, often the highest point a bird can find. The size of the territory correlates with how far the song carries, and birds in denser habitats tend to sing higher frequency songs that travel more effectively through vegetation. A male defending a large territory must produce a song that carries further than one defending a smaller space. Mate attraction songs differ from territorial songs in subtle ways. While the two functions overlap, females often prefer songs with certain characteristics. Longer songs with more syllables may indicate male quality, as producing such songs requires energy and skill. The complexity of song may indicate age or experience, as younger birds often have simpler repertoires. In some species, males that sing more complex songs mate earlier and produce more offspring. The dawn chorus represents one of the most remarkable sounds in nature. Just before sunrise, as light first penetrates the forest, birds begin to sing. Species after species joins in, creating a rising wave of sound that may last an hour or more. This phenomenon occurs because dawn offers optimal conditions for sound transmission with low background noise and cool, calm air. Males also may sing more intensely at dawn to defend territories after the vulnerability of night. Bird calls serve purposes beyond songs. Contact calls help birds keep track of family members in dense vegetation. These relatively simple sounds allow birds to maintain cohesion without the energy expenditure of full songs. Alarm calls warn of predators, with different calls for different threats. The characteristic chickadee-dee-dee of black-capped chickadees contains more Ds when danger is greater, effectively communicating threat level to other birds. Different bird families have distinctive sound signatures. Thrushes produce flute-like, spiraling songs that seem to pour from the forest. Warblers often have more choppy, staccato songs made up of many repeated syllables. Corvids like crows and jays produce harsh, metallic sounds, quite different from the melodic songs of songbirds. These family characteristics help experienced listeners identify birds even without seeing them. The forest environment shapes bird sounds in important ways. Species in dense forests tend to have lower frequency songs that travel better through vegetation. Forest birds often have songs with more syllables and longer phrases than open country birds, which typically have simpler songs. The acoustic properties of the forest itself have influenced the evolution of bird vocalizations over millions of years. Some birds incorporate non-vocal sounds into their displays. Woodpeckers drum on trees, producing rhythmic sounds that serve similar functions to songs. The common nighthawk makes a booming sound as it dives, air rushing through wing feathers. Hummingbirds produce distinctive sounds with their wings during courtship displays. These sounds, though not produced by the voice, are integral parts of bird communication. The calls and songs we hear represent only a fraction of what birds are communicating. Much of bird communication happens at frequencies we cannot hear. Ultrasonic components exist in many bird vocalizations, and even the frequencies we can hear may contain information we cannot detect. The full richness of bird communication exceeds what our ears can perceive. As you listen to birds in the forest, notice how different species use sound differently. Some rely on showy songs delivered from visible perches. Others stay hidden in the vegetation, their simpler calls revealing their presence only to careful listeners. Some sing throughout the day, others only during brief windows of activity. This diversity of acoustic strategies reflects the diversity of bird life itself. Perhaps the most constant sound in any forest is the gentle rustle of leaves. This soft susurrus, sometimes called canopy whisper, provides the backdrop against which all other forest sounds occur. The sound of leaves moving is never exactly the same, always shifting with the wind, creating a soundscape that is both predictable and endlessly variable. The sound of leaves comes primarily from leaves brushing against each other. When wind moves through the canopy, it sets leaves in motion. Individual leaves twist and turn, their edges catching on neighboring leaves. The collective effect of millions of leaves moving creates that characteristic soft rushing sound. The sound varies with leaf type, with broad leaves producing different rustles than needles. Different tree species create different rustling sounds. Oaks with their thick, rigid leaves produce a rather coarse rustle. Maples with thinner leaves create softer sounds. The compound leaves of ashes and elms produce a different quality altogether. Even the same tree will sound different as conditions change. A wet leaf is heavier and moves differently than a dry one. The season changes the rustling sounds dramatically. In summer, when trees are in full leaf, the canopy produces its fullest sound. The rustle of large leaves can sound almost like rain. In autumn, as leaves dry and eventually fall, the sound becomes crisper, more crackling. Bare winter branches produce their own sounds, the creaking and groaning of wood in the wind quite different from leaf rustle. Wind strength dramatically changes forest sounds. At very low wind speeds, the forest may be nearly silent. As wind increases, first the highest branches move, producing the faintest sound. As wind strengthens, more of the canopy comes into motion, building to a roar. At very high winds, the forest can sound almost like the ocean, waves of sound rolling through the trees. Extreme wind can also bring down branches and even whole trees. The structure of the forest affects how sound moves through it. A forest with a dense understory creates more rustling sound than one where light reaches the ground. The layers of vegetation from canopy to understory to forest floor all contribute their own sounds. These layers can also block sounds, so that sounds from one layer may not reach another. This creates distinct sound zones within the forest. Beyond leaves, branches themselves produce sounds. Larger branches moving in the wind creak and groan. This sound is deeper than leaf rustle, more resonant. In some forests, especially those with dead branches, this sound can be quite pronounced. Dead trees with their dead branches and brittle wood are often the noisiest parts of the forest during windstorms. The sounds of falling leaves represent a particular type of forest sound. When a leaf detaches from its branch, it may produce a faint sound as it falls, sometimes rustling against other leaves on the way down. In autumn, when many leaves fall, these tiny sounds become almost continuous, a gentle patter like distant rain. Birds disturbed while perching may also cause leaves to fall, creating brief showers of sound. Rain creates its own forest sounds that blend with leaf rustle. Rain hitting leaves produces a sharper, more staccato sound than wind. Heavy rain can sound like constant drumming on the canopy. The sound varies with leaf type and wetness. A pine forest sounds quite different from a deciduous forest in rain, the needles creating a more muted, continuous sound. The rustling of leaves connects to the larger pattern of forest sounds. This constant background sets the stage for bird calls, animal sounds, and all the other voices of the forest. Without this bass sound, the forest would seem strangely empty. The gentle susurrus of leaves is itself a kind of voice, the collective sound of the forest breathing. Next time you're in a forest, pay attention to the leaf sounds. Notice how they change with wind, with season, with the type of trees around you. This ever-present sound, so common we often stop noticing it, is one of the defining characteristics of the forest environment. It is the forest speaking, telling us about the movement of air, the life of the canopy, and the ever-changing conditions of the woodland world. Wind moving through the forest creates sounds quite distinct from the rustle of leaves. The deeper, more resonant sound of wind in the canopy, the whistling through branches, the moaning in the treetops. These sounds connect the forest to the larger atmosphere and bring the movements of weather into the woodland soundscape. The sound of wind in the forest differs from wind in open areas because of the obstruction the trees provide. In the open, wind creates a relatively uniform sound, a rushing or whistling that comes from all directions. In the forest, the canopy breaks up the wind, creating a more complex pattern of sounds. Some branches catch the wind and sing. Others block it and create turbulence that produces different sounds. Different parts of the forest produce different wind sounds. The tallest trees reaching above the general canopy often produce the most dramatic sounds. Their upper branches, exposed to stronger winds, may whistle and moan. Lower in the forest, where wind is less intense, sounds are more muffled. The understory, with its smaller trees and shrubs, creates its own layer of wind sounds, often a softer, more secretive whisper. The structure of branches determines what sounds they produce. Narrow gaps between branches create whistling sounds as wind passes through. Larger openings may produce deeper, more resonant tones. The thickness and rigidity of branches affects how they move and what sounds they make. Dead branches, being more brittle, often creak and groan in ways that living branches do not. The species of trees present affects forest wind sounds. Conifers with their dense, flexible branches create different sounds than deciduous trees. The flat needles of hemlocks produce a different effect than the round needles of spruces. Broad-leaved trees in winter, with their bare branches, sound quite different from the same trees in summer. Pine forests in particular are known for their distinctive wind sounds, a continuous, almost oceanic roar. Wind sounds change dramatically with wind speed. At very low wind speeds, the forest may be nearly silent. As wind increases, first, the highest points produce sound, a faint high whistle. As wind strengthens, more of the canopy comes alive, the sound building to a roar. In extreme conditions, the forest can become almost deafening, with sounds that make conversation impossible. Seasonal changes affect wind sounds in the forest. In winter, With leaves gone, branches move more easily in the wind, producing more sound. The bare canopy also lets wind penetrate further into the forest, creating sounds at all levels. Summer, with full leaf cover, dampens wind sounds, as the dense canopy absorbs much of the energy. The sounds that do penetrate are softer, more muted. Wind direction matters for forest sounds. A wind from one direction may create quite different sounds than wind from another, depending on the arrangement of trees and the structure of branches. The same wind may sound different on different days as the orientation of branches changes. Experienced forest walkers learn to read wind direction from the sounds the forest produces. Some wind sounds have particular characteristics that forest visitors notice. The creak of a tree swaying in the wind is a classic forest sound. The hollow, almost organ-like sound of wind through a hollow tree or snag is distinctive. The sudden snap of a branch breaking in the wind is startling, reminding us of the power these sounds represent. Wind sounds connect the forest to larger weather systems. Changes in wind sound often signal changing weather. A rising wind may indicate an approaching storm. A suddenly still forest may precede fog or calm conditions. These connections between wind sounds and weather have been noticed by forest visitors and forest dwellers throughout history. As you walk through the forest, notice how wind sounds vary with position, with the species of trees around you, with the strength and direction of the wind. These sounds, always present when there's any air movement, are one of the most reliable features of the forest soundscape. They tell us about the weather, about the structure of the forest, and about the constant movement of air that connects all parts of the environment. Beyond birds, forests are full of other animals whose sounds we hear less often, but which are equally important to the forest soundscape. Mammals, insects, and other creatures communicate through sound, and learning to hear these voices reveals another dimension of forest life. Deer are among the most vocal large mammals in the forest. White-tailed deer produce a range of sounds, from the loud snort of an alarmed animal to the softer sounds of communication between individuals. The loud, hoarse bark of a startled deer is unmistakable, a sound that startles hikers and signals danger to other deer. More subtle sounds include the soft bleats of fawns calling for their mothers and the grunts of bucks during the breeding season. The sounds of deer vary with season and situation. During the rut or breeding season, bucks may grunt frequently as they pursue does. These sounds, combined with the cracking of brush as they move through the forest, are characteristic autumn sounds in deer country. In winter, the crunching of footsteps through snow is often the only sound deer make, their movements quieter as they conserve energy in the cold. Foxes produce sounds quite different from their image as silent hunters. The famous scream of a fox, a haunting sound that seems almost human, is most often heard during the breeding season. This vocalization, given by both males and females, carries long distances through the winter forest. Foxes also produce softer sounds, grunts and barks used in more intimate communication. The variety of fox sounds reveals a social life more complex than their solitary hunting suggests. Other forest mammals have their own vocal repertoires. Rabbits and hares produce distress screams when caught by predators, a sound that triggers alarm responses in other rabbits. Squirrels chatter and scream at perceived threats, their sharp sounds carrying through the forest. Even the tiny shrews produce high-pitched sounds, though these are usually beyond human hearing. Each species has evolved the sounds it needs for its particular way of life. Insects fill the forest with sound, particularly in summer. Crickets are perhaps the most familiar, their chirping a staple of warm evenings. But crickets are just one part of the insect soundscape. Katydids produce their distinctive rhythmic sounds, sometimes continuing all night. Cicadas create a loud, almost electric buzz in midsummer. The clicking and buzzing of insects is such a constant feature of summer that most people stop noticing it, though it forms an important part of the forest soundscape. The sounds of insects vary with species, temperature, and time of day. Different cricket species have different chirping patterns, enabling mates to find the right partner. Most insects are active only in warm temperatures, so their sounds increase as the day heats up and decrease as it cools. Some insects, like crickets, are most active at night, their sounds increasing after sunset and continuing through the night. Not all forest sounds come from animals. The forest itself produces sounds we might attribute to living things. The cracking of a branch as it breaks under the weight of snow or ice is a winter sound. The drip of melting snow or rain from branches creates a distinctive patter. The gurgle of a stream through the forest adds its voice to the soundscape. These non-living sounds are as much a part of the forest soundscape as animal voices. The time of day changes what animal sounds we hear. At dawn, as the forest warms, insects begin their activity and birds start to sing. During midday, insect sounds may dominate as birds rest in the heat. At dusk, different species become active and the forest soundscape shifts again. At night, nocturnal animals take over, with owl calls and the sounds of hunting foxes adding new elements to the soundscape. The sounds we hear in the forest reflect the lives of the animals that produce them. A forest that seems silent may simply be quiet because the animals are not currently communicating. By listening carefully and learning to recognize different sounds, we can begin to hear the conversations happening all around us. These voices reveal the presence of animals we might never see, telling us about the hidden life of the forest. The next time you're in the forest, listen for the sounds of mammals and insects. Notice how these sounds change through the day and through the seasons. These voices, less prominent than bird songs, but equally important, are part of the rich tapestry of forest sounds. They reveal the presence of animals going about their lives, each species communicating in its own way. The forest soundscape changes dramatically with the seasons. Each season brings its own characteristic sounds, creating a yearly cycle of acoustic experiences that repeat year after year. Understanding these seasonal changes helps us appreciate how alive the forest truly is. Winter in the forest is often the quietest season acoustically. With leaves gone, there is no leaf rustle to create the constant background sound. Many birds have migrated to warmer climates, their songs absent. Insects are mostly silent, their metabolism slowed by cold. The sounds that remain are sharper, more distinct. The creak of branches in wind, the crunch of footsteps on snow, the occasional call of a resident bird like a chickadee or nuthatch. The silence of winter is not complete silence, though. Some birds remain active, their calls more noticeable in the quiet. The soft yank of a nuthatch echoes through the bare forest. The whistled phoebe of black-capped chickadees carries further without leaves to absorb the sound. Woodpeckers drum on trees, the rhythmic tapping serving as their spring song. These sounds, though less numerous, seem more significant in the quiet. Spring brings a dramatic change to the forest soundscape. As temperatures rise, insects emerge from their winter hiding places. Birds return from migration, their songs filling the air. The dawn chorus of spring is one of the most impressive natural sounds, a daily event that continues through the spring. The forest seems to transform from quiet to noisy almost overnight. a sensation that catches forest visitors by surprise every year. The sounds of spring reflect the urgency of the breeding season. Birds sing intensely to attract mates and establish territories. The sounds of territorial disputes, the chipping of competing males, add to the general activity. Frogs and toads returning to ponds add their voices to the chorus. The whole forest seems charged with energy, sound being one expression of the renewal of life that spring brings. Summer brings a different soundscape. The full canopy of leaves creates a new acoustic environment. The constant rustle of leaves returns as a background to other sounds. Bird songs continue, but with less intensity than in spring, as pairs establish territories and begin nesting. Insects become the dominant sound, their buzzing and chirping filling warm days and nights. The heat of summer affects forest sounds. On very hot days, bird activity decreases, and the forest may seem quieter during midday. But the insect sounds continue, often increasing in intensity as temperatures rise. Evening brings different sounds as the day cools, with a new wave of bird activity as sunset approaches. The warm nights of summer are alive with the sounds of insects, particularly crickets and katydids. Autumn brings another transition in forest sounds. Many birds become quiet as breeding season ends. Some begin to migrate, their calls less frequent, but other sounds become more prominent. The cracking of branches under the weight of accumulating leaves creates new sounds. The acorn drop of oaks adds its patter to the forest floor. Wind through drying leaves creates a distinctive rustle, quite different from summer. The sounds of autumn reflect the changes happening in the forest. Many animals are active as they prepare for winter, gathering food and establishing winter territories. The calls of some species change as social groups form. The forest becomes busier with the activities of preparation, though the sounds may be less obvious than in spring. The changes are there to be heard for those who pay attention. Each season has its characteristic sounds, but the transitions between seasons are also distinctive. Late winter into early spring brings a gradual increase in sounds. Late fall into early winter brings a gradual decrease. These transitions may happen quickly or slowly, depending on the weather. By listening to these changes, we can track the progress of the seasons through our ears as well as our eyes. The seasonal soundscape reminds us that the forest is always changing. What seems like a permanent environment is actually a dynamic system, cycling through different states as the year progresses. By listening to these seasonal changes, we connect more deeply to the rhythms of the natural world. The forest is never static, and its sounds reflect this constant change. The forest soundscape transforms dramatically from day to night. The sounds that dominate in daylight give way to a different set of voices after dark. This daily transformation reveals the different animals active at different times and creates two distinct acoustic experiences within the same forest. Daytime forest sounds are dominated by birds. The dawn chorus starts before sunrise and builds to a peak in the first hour or two of daylight. As morning progresses, bird activity decreases somewhat, though songs continue throughout the day. The sounds of mammals are also more common during the day, as most forest mammals are diurnal. Insects contribute to the daytime soundscape, but are less prominent than birds or mammals. As the sun sets, the daytime sounds begin to fade. Bird songs become less frequent. The forest enters a transitional period, sometimes called the dusk chorus, when both day-active and night-active species are active. This period may be brief or extended, depending on the season and location. The transitional sounds reflect the changing of the guard, as one set of animals gives way to another. night brings a different suite of sounds. Owls become the dominant avian voices, their calls echoing through the dark forest. The characteristic woo of great horned owls and the more delicate sounds of saw-whet and screech owls replace the songs of day-active birds. These nocturnal hunters use sound to locate prey and communicate with mates, their calls carrying far through the still night air. Insects become more prominent at night. Crickets and katydids sing after dark, their sounds often continuing through the entire night. The clicking and buzzing of insects provides a continuous background to the sounds of night. In some forests, the insect chorus can be almost deafening, a wall of sound that defines the nighttime experience. Other animals become active at night. Foxes may begin hunting, their movements through dry leaves creating sounds that reveal their presence. Raccoons and opossums, mostly nocturnal, become more active as darkness falls. The sound of a raccoon crashing through the understory at night is quite different from the sounds of daytime animals. These nocturnal creatures have their own acoustic signatures. The acoustics of the forest change at night. With less wind typically and more stable air, sounds may carry differently. The quieter conditions of night can make distant sounds more audible. A bird call that would be lost in the noise of daytime might be clearly audible at night. This increased audibility is one reason why some animals are more vocal at night, their messages reaching further in the quiet conditions. The experience of the forest at night is quite different from daytime. The darkness changes how we hear, as we cannot see what is making sounds. This can make night sounds more mysterious, more evocative. The same forest can seem like a different place at night, its sounds reflecting the hidden life that emerges after dark. Morning brings another transition as night animals become less active and day animals begin their routines. The dawn chorus begins again, completing the daily cycle. This rhythm repeats each day, the forest soundscape cycling through its day and night phases. Understanding this daily pattern helps us know what to listen for at different times. Experiencing the forest at different times of day reveals different aspects of its life. The daytime forest, with its birds and mammals, seems more familiar. The nighttime forest, with its owls and insects, seems more mysterious. Both are valid ways to experience the forest, each revealing different aspects of woodland life. By listening to both day and night sounds, we gain a more complete picture of forest ecology. The density and species composition of a forest fundamentally affect its soundscape. A young, dense thicket sounds quite different from an old-growth forest with large, widely spaced trees. A pine plantation differs dramatically from a hardwood stand. Understanding how forest structure affects sound helps explain why different forests have such different acoustic characters. Young forests, with their dense growth of small trees and thick understory, tend to be acoustically absorbing. The many small stems and leaves create surfaces that absorb sound, reducing echo and muffling sounds. Walking through a young forest, your footsteps sound muffled, and distant sounds are hard to hear. The acoustic environment feels enclosed, intimate. Old-growth forests, with their large canopy trees and more open understory, have different acoustic properties. The canopy still absorbs and reflects sound, but the more open understory allows sound to travel more freely. Distant sounds may be more audible. The acoustic environment feels more open, less contained. The sounds of an old forest may seem to come from further away than they actually do. The species of trees present affects forest sounds. Coniferous forests, with their dense canopy of needles, have a characteristic acoustic quality. The sound of wind in a pine forest is distinctive, a a continuous roar quite different from deciduous forests. The lack of understory in many mature coniferous forests means sounds travel further. These differences are one reason why pine forests feel so different from hardwood forests. Deciduous forests change their acoustic properties with the seasons. In summer, with full leaves, they are more like coniferous forests, absorbing sound. In winter, without leaves, they become more acoustically open, like old-growth forests. This seasonal change means the same forest has two quite different soundscapes, one for each half of the year. This dynamic quality is unique to deciduous forests. The presence or absence of dead trees, snags, affects forest sounds. Dead trees, being more brittle, creak and crack in the wind in ways living trees do not. Snags may also create cavities that resonate when wind passes through them, producing distinctive sounds. Forests with many dead trees tend to be noisier in the wind than those without. These differences reflect forest health and history. Understory density dramatically affects forest acoustics. A thick understory of shrubs and small trees creates an additional sound-absorbing layer. Sounds from the forest floor may be muffled before reaching the canopy. A more open understory allows sounds to travel more freely. The understory can create distinct acoustic zones within the forest, with different sound qualities in different areas. Water features add their own sounds to the forest soundscape. A stream running through the forest creates sounds quite distinct from the sounds of dry land. The splashing and gurgling of moving water adds a constant element to the forest soundscape. Even small seeps in wet areas can add subtle sounds. Forests with water features have an extra dimension to their acoustic character. The forest edge, where forest meets open land, has distinctive acoustic properties. Edge areas often have a mixture of forest and open country species. Sounds from both environments may be audible. The edge may also reflect sounds differently than interior forest. These transitional areas have their own acoustic character, different from either the forest or the open land. Human modifications to forests change their acoustic properties. A clear-cut area is acoustically very different from standing forest, often much more open. Even selective logging can change how sound travels through the forest. Road building creates linear openings that affect acoustics. Understanding these changes helps us hear the difference between natural and modified forests. The acoustic properties of forests reflect their structure and composition. By listening to how sound behaves in different forests, we can learn about those forests without seeing them. A forest that sounds muffled and enclosed is likely dense and young. A forest where distant sounds carry is likely more open. These acoustic clues tell us about the forest itself. Human activities alter forest soundscapes in ways both obvious and subtle. From the noise of machinery to the quieter changes in forest structure, human presence leaves an acoustic signature. Understanding how we affect forest sounds helps us appreciate both the impacts of our activities and the value of unaltered soundscapes. The most obvious human impact on forest sounds is direct noise. Road traffic, even distant, can be audible in adjacent forests. The sounds of logging equipment, chainsaws, and trucks can dominate forest soundscapes near active operations. Construction noise, aircraft overflights, and even voices of forest visitors all add human sounds to the forest acoustic environment. These sounds can mask natural forest sounds, making them harder to hear. Beyond direct noise, human activities change forest structure in ways that affect acoustics. Logging, even when not creating obvious noise, changes how the forest sounds. Removing trees changes canopy density, affecting how sounds travel. Creating roads opens corridors through which sound travels differently. These structural changes have acoustic effects that persist long after the direct noise of operations has ended. The acoustic effects of logging vary with the type of logging. Clear-cutting creates the most dramatic changes, removing the canopy entirely and dramatically altering the soundscape. The forest becomes much more open acoustically, with sounds traveling further. Selective logging, removing only some trees, has subtler effects but still changes the acoustic environment. Each type of logging leaves its own acoustic signature. Fragmentation of forests by roads and development affects soundscapes beyond the obvious noise. Forest edges, where forest meets developed areas, have different acoustic properties. Sounds from human activities at the edge penetrate into the forest. The interior of forest fragments, areas far from edges, may retain more natural acoustic character. The size of forest fragments affects how far these edge effects penetrate. Light pollution and other changes may indirectly affect forest sounds. Species that use sound for communication may be affected by the presence of artificial light, which can change when animals are active. Changes in predator populations due to human activities may change the sounds animals make. These indirect effects are harder to identify but may be just as significant as direct noise. Recreational use of forests creates its own acoustic impacts. Hikers, even walking quietly, add their sounds to the forest. Group activities with conversation and laughter create more obvious impacts. Even the presence of people changes animal behavior, with some animals becoming quieter when humans are nearby. This human silence is itself an effect of our presence on the forest soundscape. Some human activities have positive acoustic effects. Protected areas, where human disturbance is minimal, may retain more natural soundscapes. Restoration of degraded forests can eventually return natural acoustic properties. The creation of corridors connecting forest fragments can allow sounds to travel more naturally. These positive changes are possible, but require deliberate effort and protection. Understanding human impacts on forest soundscapes helps us assess forest health. Forests that have retained more natural soundscapes are likely healthier in other ways as well. The acoustic environment can serve as an indicator of overall forest condition. Listening to how human sounds blend with or dominate natural sounds helps evaluate the impacts we have. We can also work to minimize our acoustic impacts on forests. Staying on established trails reduces our physical impact and associated noise. Avoiding loud noises in natural areas helps preserve the natural soundscape. Supporting protection of wild areas ensures that some forests retain their natural acoustic character. These choices help preserve the value of forest soundscapes. As you walk through forests, notice how human sounds fit into the soundscape. Are natural sounds dominant, or do human sounds intrude? How far do human sounds penetrate into the forest? These observations reveal the extent of our impact and suggest what might be done to reduce it. Our relationship with forest sounds is part of our larger relationship with the natural world. The sounds present in a forest can tell us about its ecological health. Just as a doctor might listen to a patient's heartbeat, ecologists can use sound to assess forest condition. The presence or absence of certain sounds, the overall acoustic character, and how sounds change over time all provide information about forest health. Bird communities often serve as indicators of forest health, and their sounds reveal their presence or absence. A healthy forest typically has a diverse bird community, with many species producing the variety of sounds that indicates a functioning ecosystem. A forest that has lost species may sound less diverse, with fewer types of calls and songs. Changes in bird sounds over time can indicate changes in forest condition. The calls of some species are particularly informative. Species that require specific habitat conditions, like mature forest interior species, may disappear when habitat is degraded. Their absence creates a noticeable change in the soundscape. Conversely, the presence of species that require early successional habitat may indicate past disturbance. The composition of bird sounds tells the story of forest history. Insect sounds also indicate forest health. Many insects are sensitive to environmental conditions, and their presence or absence reflects those conditions. The sounds of different insect groups vary with forest type and condition. Changes in insect sounds may indicate changes in temperature, moisture, or other factors. These indicators can reveal problems before they become obvious visually. The overall acoustic character of a forest can indicate its condition. A forest with a rich, complex soundscape with many layers of sound is likely healthy. A forest that sounds degraded, with fewer types of sounds or dominant human influence sounds, may have problems. These broad patterns are useful as quick indicators of forest condition, though they require experience to interpret accurately. Changes in sounds over time can reveal important trends. A forest that is becoming quieter over years may be losing species. A forest that is becoming louder with invasive species may be changing in other ways. Long-term monitoring of forest sounds, now made easier by recording technology, can reveal trends that might not be apparent from occasional visits. Acoustic monitoring is becoming an important tool in forest ecology. Autonomous recording devices can capture forest sounds continuously, creating archives of acoustic information. Analysis of these recordings can detect species, track population trends, and identify changes in the soundscape. This technology allows monitoring at scales and frequencies impossible with traditional observation. The sounds of water in forests can indicate hydrological health. Streams that sound normal indicate appropriate water flow. Changes in stream sounds may indicate altered drainage, drought, or other problems. The presence or absence of frog and toad calls, dependent on water, can indicate wetland health. These acoustic indicators complement visual assessments. Forest health assessment through sound has limitations. Not all important forest species are audibly detectable. Some sounds are difficult to identify. Background noise can mask important sounds. Despite these limitations, acoustic monitoring adds a valuable tool to the ecologist's toolkit, one that is particularly appropriate for assessing large areas and detecting changes over time. The next time you're in a forest, try to assess its health through sound. How many different types of bird calls can you hear? Are there insect sounds? What is the overall acoustic character? These observations, combined with visual assessment, provide a more complete picture of forest condition. Listening is one of the simplest ways to connect with forest health. The sounds of the forest tell us about its past, present, and future. Changes in soundscapes reflect changes in forest condition. By learning to listen, we gain a tool for understanding forests and recognizing when they need attention. The acoustic environment connects us to forest health in an intimate way through the same sounds that tell us about the lives of forest inhabitants. Silence itself is a forest sound, and understanding what creates true quiet helps us appreciate the forest soundscape more fully. Even the quietest forest is not truly silent, but what we might call forest silence has its own character and tells us about the environment. True silence, the complete absence of sound, essentially never occurs in nature. Even in the most remote wilderness, there is always some sound, the faint rustle of air, the internal sounds of your own body, the barely audible hum of the atmosphere. What we perceive as silence is actually the absence of noticeable sounds, a relative quiet rather than absolute. The quietest parts of the forest are often the most informative about the acoustic environment. When all the obvious sounds fade, what remains reveals the baseline. The very fact that we notice quiet tells us that the forest normally has more sound. The contrast between noisy and quiet moments reveals the range of forest acoustic experiences. Forest quiet varies with conditions. After a rain, the forest may be particularly quiet as water drips from leaves and the wet air absorbs sound. During fog, when moisture in the air affects sound transmission, the forest may seem muted. Winter forests, without leaves to create rustle, can be very quiet. These variations in quiet are themselves features of the forest soundscape. The forest is never quiet for long. Even in the quietest moments, sounds are building. An insect begins to move, a bird calls in the distance, the wind shifts. The quiet is always temporary, a pause between sounds. This dynamic quality means that listening for quiet is itself an active process, waiting for the moments when sounds fade. The experience of forest quiet is subjective. What seems quiet to one person may not seem so to another. The same forest may seem silent to someone from a noisy city and quite loud to someone used to wilderness. Our expectations and backgrounds shape how we perceive the forest soundscape. True appreciation of forest quiet comes from understanding this subjectivity. In our noisy world, forest quiet has become increasingly valuable. People seek out quiet, natural areas, willing to travel long distances to experience environments with less human noise. The demand for quiet spaces reflects our deep need for respite from the constant noise of modern life. Forests provide this respite, their quiet being one of their most valuable characteristics. The value of forest quiet has led to efforts to measure and preserve it. Acoustic ecology researchers have mapped quiet areas, identifying places where natural sounds dominate. These acoustic refugia are increasingly rare as human noise reaches into even remote areas. Protecting these quiet spaces has become a goal for conservation, recognizing that silence itself is worth preserving. Understanding forest quiet helps us understand our relationship with sound. The experience of forest silence is not simply the absence of sound, but the presence of a particular kind of acoustic environment. This environment, with its faint rustles and distant calls, is quite different from urban quiet, with its background hum of distant human activity. Recognizing these differences helps us understand what we seek in natural environments. The next time you experience forest quiet, pay attention to what it actually contains. Notice the very faint sounds you might normally ignore. Notice how the quiet is never absolute. Notice how sounds seem to emerge from and return to this quiet. This experience of forest silence, properly understood, reveals the full richness of the forest soundscape. Forests have always offered the experience of quiet, a respite from the noise of human life. As human noise spreads further, this quiet becomes more rare and more valuable. The silence of the forest is not empty but full of the sounds that reveal the hidden life of the woods. Understanding this fullness in silence helps us appreciate what forests offer. Forest sounds connect us emotionally to these environments in ways that visual experience alone cannot match. The soundscape of a forest can evoke powerful feelings, create memories, and shape our relationship with nature. Understanding this emotional dimension helps us appreciate why forest sounds matter so much to so many people. The sounds of forest can trigger deep emotional responses. Many people report feeling calm and relaxed in forests. and the sounds likely contribute significantly to these feelings. The gentle rustle of leaves, the distant calls of birds, the subtle sounds of the forest combine to create an environment that promotes relaxation. This effect has been recognized for centuries, as forests have been places of retreat and reflection. The emotional response to forest sounds appears to have biological roots. Our ancestors evolved in environments where forest sounds indicated safety and resources. The absence of alarm calls might have indicated low predator danger. The sounds of water might have indicated drinkable water nearby. These associations may be encoded in our nervous systems, explaining why forest sounds feel inherently calming to most people. Different forest sounds have different emotional effects. The gentle sound of leaves rustling tends to be calming, while the sudden crack of a breaking branch can be startling. The first sounds of birdsong in the morning can feel welcoming, while certain alarm calls can create immediate attention. These varied emotional responses reflect the different information these sounds convey and our evolved responses to that information. The sounds we expect to hear affect our emotional response to a forest. When we hear the sounds we expect from a healthy forest, we feel that all is right. When expected sounds are absent or unexpected sounds are present, we may feel that something is wrong. This expectation shapes our experience, making sounds not just information, but also emotional signals. Forest sounds create powerful memories. The sound of a particular forest heard years later can instantly bring back the experience of being there. The songs of birds learned in childhood may always evoke childhood experiences. These sound-based memories are particularly strong and lasting, more powerful than purely visual memories in many cases. The emotional connection to forest sounds motivates conservation. People who have experienced the peace of forest quiet are motivated to protect forests. The desire to preserve these soundscapes drives support for forest protection. This emotional motivation may be more powerful than rational arguments, creating advocates for forest conservation based on personal experience. Modern life often disconnects us from forest sounds. Urban environments are dominated by human noise, and many people spend most of their time in these environments. The sounds of forests become unfamiliar, something experienced only occasionally. This disconnection may reduce our appreciation of forest sounds and their value. Technology can help reconnect people with forest sounds. Recordings of forest sounds are widely available and can provide some of the emotional benefits of actual forest experience. While not the same as being in the forest, these recordings can help people remember and appreciate forest soundscapes. They can also help people who cannot visit forests experience their acoustic beauty. The sounds of forests are part of our natural heritage. These sounds have existed for millions of years, evolving alongside the forests themselves. Preserving forest soundscapes preserves this heritage, maintaining the acoustic environment that has shaped human experience and emotion. This preservation is part of our broader responsibility to maintain natural environments. The next time you hear forest sounds, notice how they make you feel. Notice the memories they may evoke, the emotions they create. This emotional response is not incidental to the forest experience, but central to it. The sounds of the forest affect us deeply, connecting us to these environments in ways that transcend simple sensory experience. As we conclude our exploration of forest sounds, consider the sounds around you wherever you are. Even if you're not in a forest, you can appreciate the sounds you hear. This appreciation, this attention to the acoustic world, connects us to the broader environment. Forest sounds are part of this larger world, a reminder of the natural environments that surround us and the sounds they contain. The future of forest soundscapes is uncertain, shaped by climate change, habitat loss, and ongoing human impacts. Understanding what threatens forest sounds helps us work to preserve these valuable acoustic environments for future generations. Climate change affects forest soundscapes in multiple ways. Changes in temperature affect when and how species are active, shifting the timing and character of sounds. Extended droughts change which species can survive, potentially eliminating certain sounds entirely. More frequent extreme weather events, including storms and fires, create new sounds while destroying others. These changes are already underway and will accelerate. Shifting species ranges are changing forest sounds. As temperatures rise, species move northward into higher elevations. Forests in some areas are gaining species they didn't previously have, while losing others. The soundscapes of forests in the eastern United States now include species that historically were found only further south. These new acoustic mixes are different from historical soundscapes, and we're only beginning to understand what they mean. Habitat loss remains a major threat to forest soundscapes. When forests are cleared, the sounds they contain disappear. Even partial clearing changes forest acoustics. The fragmentation of forests creates edge effects that alter soundscapes far from the actual clearing. Protecting forest habitat remains essential to preserving forest soundscapes, just as it is for other aspects of forest ecology. Invasive species are reshaping some forest soundscapes. Invasive insects, like the emerald ash borer that has killed millions of trees, change forest structure in ways that affect sounds. The death of trees changes how wind moves through the forest, altering the sounds it makes. Invasive plants change understory structure, affecting how sounds travel. These changes create new but often less diverse soundscapes. Human noise continues to penetrate further into forests. Even in remote areas, the hum of human activity is increasingly audible. Aircraft overflights, distant highway traffic, and even the noise of resource extraction operations reach into wilderness areas. This expanding human soundscape competes with natural forest sounds, making them harder to hear and appreciate. The good news is that forest soundscapes can recover when threats are reduced. Protected areas often retain more natural soundscapes than unprotected forests. When human disturbance is reduced, natural sounds return relatively quickly. The resilience of forest ecosystems includes their acoustic resilience, given appropriate protection. Efforts to preserve forest soundscapes are increasing. Acoustic ecologists work to document and protect natural soundscapes. Protected area management increasingly considers acoustic values. The concept of sound parks, areas protected specifically for their acoustic values, has gained traction. These efforts recognize what many have always known: forest sounds are worth protecting. Technology offers new tools for monitoring and protecting forest soundscapes. Autonomous recording units can monitor forest sounds continuously, detecting changes over time. Analysis of these recordings can identify problems before they become obvious. Public engagement with forest sounds through recordings and educational programs builds support for protection. Each of us can contribute to preserving forest soundscapes. Supporting forest protection, visiting forests responsibly, and reducing our own noise impact all help. Sharing the experience of forest sounds with others builds appreciation and support. The more people who value forest soundscapes, the more likely they are to be protected. The forest soundscapes of the future will be different from those of the past. Climate change, species movements, and human activity have already altered these soundscapes in ways we can detect. but with effort, we can preserve much of what makes forest sounds valuable. The gentle rustle of leaves, the calls of birds, the whisper of wind through branches. These sounds have accompanied humans throughout our history and should continue to accompany our descendants. As you leave the forest, carry its sounds with you. Remember what you heard, the layers of sound that revealed the hidden life of the woods. When you return to your daily life, carry this memory of forest sounds with you. It connects you to forests everywhere and reminds you of what is worth protecting. The sounds of the forest are part of our common heritage, to be valued and preserved for all who come after us. The experience of forest sounds varies dramatically with the weather. Different weather conditions create different acoustic environments, and understanding these variations reveals another layer of forest sound complexity. Weather affects not just what sounds we hear, but how those sounds behave in the forest. Rain dramatically changes forest sounds. Light rain creates a gentle patter on leaves, a soft, continuous sound quite different from the rustle of wind. Heavy rain creates a louder, more uniform sound, like the ocean roar. The intensity and character of rain sounds depend on leaf type, with different trees creating different sounds. Pine needles create a different pattern than oak leaves. Fog changes forest acoustics in subtle ways. The moisture in the air absorbs and scatters sound, often making the forest seem quieter. Distant sounds become harder to hear. The characteristic dampened quality of sounds in fog is distinctive, a muted quality quite different from clear conditions. This fog acoustic is itself a forest sound, telling us about the moisture in the air. Wind affects forest sounds in ways we explored earlier, but weather conditions interact with wind to create different acoustic experiences. A calm day with no wind creates a different baseline than a day with steady wind. The transition from calm to windy creates its own sounds as the forest responds. These interactions between wind and other conditions create endless variation. Thunder adds its voice to forest sounds during storms. The rumble of thunder in a forest has a distinctive quality, the sound reflecting and echoing from trees. The approach of thunderstorms brings changing sounds as wind increases and birds respond to the changing pressure. The storm itself brings dramatic sounds, and its passing brings another transition. Snow changes forest acoustics in winter. Snow absorbs sound, making the forest seem quieter. Walking through snow creates a distinctive crunch, quite different from walking on bare ground. Snow on branches can create sounds as it slides off or is disturbed by wind. These winter sounds are a different category of forest sounds, part of the winter soundscape. The sounds we hear in different weather are part of the forest's character. The same forest sounds different in rain than in dry weather, in fog than in clear conditions. These variations are not problems to be solved, but features to be appreciated. They reveal how dynamic the forest soundscape is, always changing in response to conditions. Experiencing forest sounds in different weather conditions reveals different aspects of the forest. The sounds that dominate on a calm summer day are different from those on a windy winter day. Each condition reveals different features of the forest acoustic environment. By experiencing these variations, we gain a more complete understanding of forest sounds. Weather sounds connect forest acoustics to larger atmospheric processes. The sounds of approaching storms, of changing conditions, tell us about the larger weather patterns affecting the forest. These connections remind us that the forest is not isolated, but part of larger systems, connected through sound as well as other means. The next time you're in the forest in different weather, pay attention to how the sounds change. Notice how rain sounds different from dry conditions, how fog changes the quality of sounds. These variations are part of the forest experience, revealing how dynamic and responsive the forest soundscape is. Weather is just one of many factors that shape forest sounds. As our story slowly comes to an end, allow the final thoughts to fade. Gently into the quiet of the night, the rain and the calm ideas and the peaceful moments we've explored can settle softly in the background like distant echoes of a quiet evening. There is no need to think about anything now. Your body can continue to relax, breathing slow and steady. If you are still awake, simply remain here a little longer and enjoy the calm atmosphere. And if sleep has already started to find you, let it arrive naturally and without effort. Thank you for spending this quiet moment here on Cozy Sleep Time. If you enjoy these calm stories and gentle explorations, you can return anytime for another peaceful journey into rest. For now, let the night grow quieter and quieter and quieter, and allow yourself to drift deeper into sleep. Good night.